Welcome back, everybody, to another cryptocurrency news article. This one comes from Crypto Slate, and Pompliano and Shellenberger clash over validity of Bitcoin. The differences in opinion on Bitcoin came down to the contrasting views on the role of the government. Now, if you want to listen to this debate, head on over to Anthony Pompliano's channel, where you can listen to these two go at it. So here's a quick recap, though, of it. Bitcoin bull Anthony Pompliano and author Michael Shellenberger debated the merits of the cryptocurrency, with differences in opinion boiling down to contrasting outlooks on the role of government. Shellenberger is a staunch Bitcoin critic. Shellenberger likened his Bitcoin stance to Senator Elizabeth Warren's, who's recently proposed harsh legislation leveling the playing field between crypto and the financial system in the wake of the FTX scandal. Now, the author expanded by saying he sees no purpose to crypto and that regulating it is nonsensical because to him, digital assets are not a real thing. I think it's basically a pyramid scheme built on top of a criminal digital enterprise, built on top of a beautiful digital art project, says Schellenberg. Pompliano responded by adopting a strategy that casts aside the whole narrative that comes with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Instead, Pompliano sought common ground with Shellenberger by espousing three core beliefs. These were tackling inflation, challenging oversight players who operate in ways that run counter to the greater good, and in support of the U.S. Constitution and what that stands for, such as protecting property rights and freedom of speech. Shellenberger made clear that his issue with Bitcoin is not based on differences in values. Rather, his skepticism stems from the absurd libertarian fantasy that Bitcoiners can escape the government, yet the governments are necessary for societal order and in protecting the weak and vulnerable. Now, it's not a values difference because we all value public safety and freedom and democracy. I think there's a libertarian fantasy that is tied up with seceding, that tied up with getting away from nation state, and I think that's absurd, says Shellenberger. But now, what should the role of the government be? In making points for and against Bitcoin, the debate touched on asset confiscation, with the central banks of Cyprus confiscating 47.5% of bank deposits exceeding $100 million. In 2013, as the example used, there is no other currency in the world that would allow you to hold it. And for whatever reason, someone wanted to confiscate it, allow you to not let them do that. Schellenberger said, as a citizen of a nation state, that nation state will use any and all means necessary to defend itself, whether that is conscripting people to defend a hostile invasion or confiscating bank deposits in a bid to stave off financial bankruptcy. This is how it is living under a nation state, deemed Schellenberger. Now, of course, the government would seize people's assets. That's what happens. You can say that's not fair or whatever, but you live in a nation state. Responding, Pompliano voiced a different view. He pointed out that Cyprus, indeed, all governments were hired by the citizens. A perplexed Schellenberg disputed this, saying hiring is not the correct word, because hiring infers being optional. Yet, Pompliano stuck firm by saying hundreds of thousands of Americans fired expensive states that were not meeting their needs, such as New York and California, and instead hired Texas or Florida. He pointed out that people have personal agency to go where they are treated better, and they do that by voting with their feet. The government is here to represent the people, and the people are not here to serve the government. So yeah, that is basically how the debate ended. Schellenberger still not for Bitcoin, doesn't like it, doesn't think it's fair. Pompliano still a full-time Bitcoin supporter, as well as other cryptos out there too. But the debate can go on. You break it apart, you try to find common grounds. But what do you think? Did you guys listen to this debate? Let me know how you feel down below in the comments. And until next time, guys, the Crypto Sherpa is out.